Welcome everybody to Cobalt Productions. Today we're going to be talking about the 2026 coaching carousel, one of the craziest coaching carousels in recent memory. And remember, this is only my opinion. If you disagree, drop it in the comments. Without further ado, let's start with Auburn. They fired Hugh Freeze earlier this year, and their search has been one of the loudest in the SEC. But throughout all the noise, there's one name that sticks out to me, and that is Tulane coach John Summerall. He's from Huntsville. He's coached across the South, and he built Troy into a real program. He understands SEC football, he gets the culture, and this is something Auburn prioritizes. They hire guys who already fit the region, as they don't want the learning curve. And the biggest sign here is very simple. The writing is on the wall. He had a meeting with Florida that was canceled on Thursday, and that means that something is already in motion. I'd say that the timing fits, the profile fits, and I'm gonna call it. John Summerall will be the next Auburn head coach. Alrighty, this is the reason that everybody is here. We're going to talk about LSU next. They fired Brian Kelly, one of the worst hires and worst projects that I've seen in recent memory. The governor of Louisiana even said that he is going to be involved in the search. And where has that led us? Right before I was recording, it was announced that LSU are planning to offer a $90 million contract to Lane Kiffin. He is LSU's top target. And LSU makes sense for him. The roster is ready to win, but this year they have underachieved. They have serious NIL money, NFL-level skilled talent, and boosters who want to win at all costs necessary. And there are also reports that LSU would be open to bringing Ed Orgeron back, potentially a light advisory role if Lane Kiffin comes back. And while nothing is confirmed, I think the conversation shows that LSU is aggressively pushing for Lane Kiffin. If Lane Kiffin does in fact take the offer, and $90 million is a hard number to turn down, LSU would get their guy, probably the hottest commodity in college football. And if he doesn't, my backup names would probably be Eli Drinkwitz, and I want to say Brent Key, but since he just got extended, I'll go with Clark Lee, the Vanderbilt head coach. But as of right now, all signs point to LSU going hard for Lane Kiffin as their number one choice. And that's why I will say LSU will have Lane Kiffin as their head coach to start the 2026 season. And this is where things get wild. Before that $90 million bomb dropped, I genuinely thought Lane Kiffin was going to Florida. If he flips and chooses the Gators instead of LSU, then LSU gets thrown into chaos, and they likely go after Drinkwitz or Clark Lee. But if LSU does in fact close the deal on Kiffin, which does feel likely and very imminent, then I would say Florida pivots instantly. And the cleanest option on board is none other than Jedd Fisch. He rebuilt Arizona, but he's up in Washington and he's not really liking it. The Big Ten is extremely competitive, but Florida is in fact his alma mater. So depending on where Kiffin signs, the entire top of the SEC flips instantly. Kiffin to LSU means Florida goes for Fisch, and Kiffin to Florida means LSU may go into chaos. Now, fully talking about the Gators, Billy Napier was fired earlier in the season, Sun Belt Billy, and Florida is desperate for some stability. They already took a gamble on Napier, and it clearly didn't work out. Fisch is smart, he's an adult type hire, he rebuilt Arizona, and he could run a very good program. And if Fisch doesn't happen, I see Alex Golesh as the next best thing. He's the South Florida head coach, and he already beat Florida this year. He has one of the best offenses I've seen in the FBS this season, and it's one of the fastest tempos you will ever see. So I think if they don't get Fisch or Kiffin, Golesh will be the USF head coach. But I'm going to say it, Fisch will be the head coach going into 2026. Next up, we have Arkansas. They fired Sam Pittman earlier this year, and right now they have head coach Bobby Petrino. They have a high-flying offense, but somehow can never close out the games. And that's why I'm going to go with Memphis head coach Ryan Silverfield as the next guy in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Silverfield is a Southeast coach at heart. He was born in Jacksonville. He understands the region, he gets the culture, and he's kept Memphis competitive despite the roster turnover that hits every group of 5 program. He's built bowl teams, consistency, and Memphis have even beat Arkansas as of recently, which shouldn't go unnoticed. And if Silverfield doesn't get the Arkansas job, I think Alex Golesh would also be the backup for this position. But, as I said, Silverfield to Arkansas makes the most sense, and that's why he will be the Arkansas head coach going into the 2026 season. All right, let's talk Penn State. This is going to come out of left field. But they just fired James Franklin about a month and a half ago, and he has just ended up at Virginia Tech. And I'm going to take a big swing. Penn State are going to hire Eli Drinkwitz. He made a name for himself at NC State, won and had one very good season at App State, and recently he has rebuilt Missouri into a legit SEC program. He's got a great personality as seen on College Game Day, he can recruit, and he brings energy. Similarly, to James Franklin and what he did at Penn State. Now, regionally, offensive coordinator of Ohio State, Brian Hartline, does fit, but he hasn't been a head coach. And then, though he is rumored at basically every season, Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell could be in the mix. But I think, and this is going to surprise people, Eli Drinkwitz will be the next Penn State head coach. And finally, just a quick one, Oklahoma State. They fired Mike Gundy after about 3 games. The program completely capitulated, it's lost its identity, and they need somebody who brings a clear philosophy ASAP. And that is none other than North Texas head coach Eric Morris. He's a Texas guy. He runs an air raid system, and this would align perfectly with Oklahoma State and their historical identity. And he's rebuilt programs before. And that is why Oklahoma State will go for Eric Morris. He will become the next head coach in Stillwater. So Eric Morris will be the head coach of Oklahoma State starting in 2026. Let's talk about a coaching carousel that fully depends on Lane Kiffin. If LSU lands Lane Kiffin, which I feel like is extremely likely, Florida are going to pivot to Jedd Fisch. And if Kiffin shocks everyone and goes to Florida, LSU are going to spiral into chaos. And I think they're going to swoop in for Drinkwitz or Clark Lee. Nonetheless, LSU should test the waters. And if Drinkwitz goes to LSU, Penn State are going to have to swing hard for Campbell, who finally gets pulled out of Iowa State. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt is also a sneaky name who fits the builder identity. A lot of these schools want that, and he could be a viable option if the big options fall apart. One move flips the entire map, and this is one of the wildest coaching cycles we have seen in years. And no, I don't think there is a chance that Lane Kiffin stays at Ole Miss, but we will find out after the Egg Bowl. That'll be one of the craziest weekends in recent memory. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know your opinions down below in the comments.